This is Empty the Bench with Tom Albano.
He sees a light, and who pops out from that light? No, it's not God. It's Jets ownership. It's Robert Saleh. It's Nathaniel Hackett. And they say, "Come, Aaron, come to us."
Nick Morgasen.
Unless you're a moron who lives under a rock and doesn't pay attention to football, everyone knows that that's a joke in every way, shape, or form. That Aaron Rodgers is in here because the Jets needed to make a splash in the worst way, shape, or form.
Empty the Bench starts now.
The way it works is they light a candle. That's the last light you have, and then you blow it out, and that's all the light you have until you come out.
So I wanted to start today by making a little delicious reference about Woody Johnson saying, "Let the Rodgers come to me and don't hinder him, because he is the property of the Jets." Jets, not officially, however.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
Welcome to
Jets.
what? Oh, go ahead. What were you saying?
Okay. I was just gonna say, so Jets fans, Packers fans, all you have to do right now is you don't have to wait anything. All you have to do is just wait for the two teams to do their thing. You guys just
I can't go one episode without that. Welcome to episode 177 of Empty the Bench on the Empty the Bench podcast network. Tom Albano, Nick Morgasen. Follow the show on social media at ETB Sports, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ETB Network for our network, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. YouTube.com/ETB Network to subscribe to the video portion of the podcast network. And the reason I say video version of the podcast network is within the next week, our whole network will be audio available.
Hey, look at that. You can hear us on anything. iTunes. It's called Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart,
Stitcher.
Odyssey, maybe. Well, I don't know if I'd really want to be on Odyssey. They're a penny stock at this point. Who knows if they're going to be around anymore? But basically, most podcast platforms will be available in the next week or so. So make sure you look out for that as well. etbpodcast.com as well. Check out all our blogs and information and everything that's coming up for the podcast network. And I'll talk about another podcast that's going to be starting up in less than a month at the end of the show as well. So we have a lot to get into this week. We're going to talk about the World Baseball Classic, which just came to an end. If you've been following our social media platforms, I've been very animate about my thoughts of the World Baseball Classic. Some people have thrown rotten tomatoes at me, but maybe if you actually listened to my explanations instead of poo-pooing them, you would understand.
I mean, I listen to your explanations, but I actually am on the side of the people that I still like the World Baseball Classic, which I know is not going to rub you or Johnny or Hank the wrong way, or is going to rub you, Johnny, or Hank the right way.
Well, you do agree there are problems with it, right?
Yes, but there are also problems without it.
Yes, it's 6 1 half dozen the other. I'm going to keep saying that because there's good, bad, and indifferent. I'll leave it at that. Also, we'll talk about March Madness. It's been bracket buster city over the first couple of weekends. We'll get into that. Also, from our local side of the woods, St. John's hires Rick Pitino.
And then there comes a whole lawsuit that goes with that.
Why does our show? Why do our show always get hit with lawsuits?
I don't know. We're about to get hit with a lawsuit.
Don't shh. Brett Favre might be listening. He might sue us. Just saying.
Lonzo Ball, his career might be over. He is going to undergo quite the unique kind of surgery.
Oh, you mean the experimental type?
Mm-hmm. Michael Jordan, potentially selling his team. If this is the case, okay, now combining that last story with this one, Nick, if that's the case, can we say Michael Jordan is not undefeated and he has lost?
Yeah. You could. You technically could. He has not won a championship with the Hornets. Well, did he really think he was going to win a championship? He's more in for the investment than anything. I
And
reported.
then, speaking of,
What were you going to say?
Okay, go ahead. No, you go first.
I was going to say he's still technically going to own a minority stake, so he's not completely leaving.
That's true. Speaking of championships, we're gonna make our way back over to the Jets.
Great. I can't wait. I'm so excited. And I just can't hide it.
You look thrilled.
Yeah. And just to get the juices flowing even more, since the NFL seems to never end, we'll talk some, I guess you can call it hot stove in the NFL. Also, Roger Goodell agreeing to a new extension. Oh, joy.
Roger Goodell is his own hot stove.
Right. And we'll finish with cryptocurrency. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but we're just going to finish with cryptocurrency.
We are now going to be sponsored by Crypto.com.
Don't say that. It'll happen. Yeah, but here's the difference. We actually would disclose if we're getting paid because that's the SEC law. Okay.
Nick, the only advantage to us actually being sponsored with a crypto place is that Benchcoin can actually become a thing.
Well, we've been trying to get Benchcoin forever. I mean, it's a horrible idea, but it's still fun.
All right. Speaking of horrible idea, but it's still fun, I guess this transitions into the World Baseball Classic.
See, I'm the king of the transition.
One of us thinks it's a horrible idea, and the other one of us thinks it's absolutely fun.
Gee, I wonder who that is.
I wish I had one of those big foam fingers that I could just point in your direction.
Yeah, I mean, so if you didn't know already, the World Baseball Classic is over. Japan beat USA 3-2. Dramatic finish.
The last out is Shohei Ohtani striking out Mike Trout.
And by the way, I don't know if you saw Christopher Mad Dog Russo's take on First Take, where he basically said that he doesn't understand why people are making a big deal about Shohei Ohtani striking out Mike Trout. And believe it or not, this is going to sound insane, but I agree with him.
What?
Yeah. Of course. Who cares?
What? You don't get to see that.
It's really not a big deal. I mean, do you remember when Derek Jeter, I'm obviously bring it back to the Yankees, when he played against, when he was on Team USA playing the Yankees in spring training, people made a big deal about it, and I didn't understand why.
Nick, it's not a matter of that. It's that Mike Trout has been one of the faces of baseball ever since he got here in 2012. And now we have Shohei Ohtani, who has been one of the game's greatest players for the last few years. And now these two, who are always on the same team, we never get to see a matchup like that, and we got to see it. I thought that was tremendous. Now, the one thing I will say in your argument is we will get to see that more. You know why?
Why?
You know why?
Why?
Because this is the last year that Shohei Ohtani is going to be with the Angels.
Oh, yeah, good point. I didn't even think about that. Well, yeah, because he's going to command a $500 million contract for 10 years, $50 million a year, which is insane.
And he should not only is he going to get that, he should get that based on his play.
No one's worth $50 million. No one.
If he has another year like he's been having the last couple of years, Nick, he's got the right to demand, and there will be somebody who forks up. I'm looking at crosstown rivals right now, and one of our old rivals from back in the day as two potential teams who could.
I mean, I get that, and I understand, but talking about this banner here, so and I brought this up right away, and Anthony, who will be part of our MLB preview if I don't want to punch him, basically, I was saying to him, well, yeah. Yes. So Edwin Diaz, who I think he played for Puerto Rico, right?
Was it Puerto Rico, Dominican? Hang on, let me double check.
Because I can't remember off the top of my head.
He played for Puerto Rico.
Okay, so they win their game against the Dominican Republic, which was a big game, and they have a celebration. He's jumping up and down, and all of a sudden, he gets hurt. And now I know what you said, and a lot of other people said, well, and you said a doctor, according to a doctor, said that his knee was already in bad health.
Yeah, I mean, you don't. First of all, if he injured like his knee like that, the argument I'm going to make is that's a freak injury. That's something that's once in a blue moon that you don't really see. And second of all, yes, there's supposedly a doctor had said that his knee was already going. If it wasn't going to give out during the World Baseball Classic, it was going to be the second or third time that the trumpets were going to play at Citi Field where it would have gone down.
But here's the problem, though. Why didn't the Mets either do a physical, or they should, you know what they should do? They should do physicals on players before they go to the World Baseball Classic to catch injuries or freak injuries, or if supposedly this doctor's telling the truth and said that his knee was in bad damage, he should never have gone to the World Baseball Classic.
I mean, that's not for me to say, Nick, because, well, here's my question. You know, he still had some spring training before this. Did the Mets know about what was going on with that knee?
That's even worse. If the Mets knew about it, then shame on Steve Cohen and the Mets for allowing him to go. And I'm about to get really angry because there are people who are telling me that the players are allowed to go. The owners of their teams are not allowed to refuse their players going to the World Baseball Classic. Stop it. Stop. Don't tell me that the owners who are investing hundreds of millions of dollars in investment saying they can't refuse their players to go. That's bullcrap.
Now, I do agree. You're right that owners have a right to do it. But now, are people going to be happy about it? No. Are the players going to be happy about it? No. Here's my question. Is Major League Baseball going to be happy about it?
Well, it's partially their fault. But at the same time, I would say, and this is bad, and we see guys like Trout who are saying they'd rather wave the red, white, and blue than play for a playoffs or be to a World Series. That's a problem.
Well, there's one person that you can blame for that one, Mr. Morgasen. Hang on. Here you go.
Well, this is the easiest excuse for anybody. Just pull out good old Rob Manfred and you can just point the finger and go, hey, you idiot.
Well, Nick, 3 words. Hunk of plastic.
Well, okay, yes. But at the same time, the players should not be happier to win in pride than they should be winning a World Series.
Nick, I understand your frustration, but to me, it's not just it's not a matter of that. It's that you only get to see this once every 3 years, once every 4 years.
It's the Olympics.
Well, it's the Olympics because the Olympics kicked them out.
Well, yes, but I'm just saying it's not right. And by the way, I've asked Anthony this. I've asked a bunch of people this question I'm about to ask again, and no one can give me an answer. Who pays the players?
The owners. But again, goes back to my question. But do you see a situation where let's take our team. Let's take the Yankees. If Steinbrenner had said and Cashman had said, okay, none of you are going, do you not think that Manfred and certain people in, let's call them admin, baseball administration, operations, might put a little heat on them and say, WTF? Because remember, who is in charge of the World Baseball Classic?
Well, technically it's Major League Baseball and the MLBPA, but I was reading that all the associations have a say in the rules and what's allowed.
Okay, but my point is it's the organizations. So Manfred. So in this case, Manfred, yes, obviously he's got his 30 team for the regular season that he's got to worry about, but does he have some sort of right to go to the Yankees and say, WTF, you got to give me a player or two?
No, because the owners make the investment, not Rob Manfred. Rob Manfred, if you know what the owners should say, all right, you want to take my player? You're going to pay the contract for this year if they get hurt.
Okay, well, that was going to be my proposal. Well, that was going to be one of my proposals to you. Should we set aside something like a little pool of money to pay out to the player and to play out to the team if in the event of an WBC injury?
Well, here's the another question I don't know the answer to that I'll throw out there. Does the insurance that if they get hurt regularly, like in spring training or if they get hurt during the year, does that insurance cover World Baseball Classic?
I don't know the answer to that either, Nick.
So if the insurance covers it, I don't know. That's the question I need the answer to. Because again, I've heard different rumors and speculation.
That's one you got to ask an expert on.
Right. And I was listening to David Sampson, who former Marlins GM, who does a podcast on the Levitard Friends Network, who basically was saying he heard from the inside that the Yankees and Dodgers are going to impose bans.
Bans, yeah.
And you know what? It's their right. They have two of the biggest payrolls in all of Major League Baseball. So, and by the way, from what I understand, the Yankees basically told Aaron Judge, no. So, there's your answer right there.
I'm not surprised.
But the big contract he just signed, he's going nowhere except playing for the Yankees.
All right, I get it. And then you've got Jose Altuve, who suffered an arm injury, is going to be out for at least 1 to 2 months.
Right, he got hit in the thumb. I think it broke on impact from a hit by pitch.
Mm-hmm.
8 to 10 weeks, at least 8 to 10 weeks. Then you got to get back up to play. It's going to be half the season at least before you see him again.
But you know what the sad part is, Nick? That we talked about in our pre-show meeting? The Astros are still probably going to win that division with these.
Oh, that division is so bad, it's not even funny.
Like I know, like what I was arguing about the freak injury with Edwin Diaz. It's kind of, I understand what you're arguing, but it's like it also kind of is a moot point when the Astros are just going to win the division anyway. Because I mean, I get the Mariners, are on their heels, but the Astros are still the defending world champions who have been to the ALCS, the last 5 years now?
I mean, you have the team that has the lowest payroll in the history of Major League Baseball in your division.
Right. And then you've got the Rangers. I mean,
let's be fair. The Rangers are not slouches, but they're nowhere near where the Astros are.
Well, the Rangers are spending big money. They spent big money on just to try and get a boost into this organization, which I don't know is going to work.
I mean, you spent money on, what was it, Seager, but who is so far doing nothing, and he's almost about to be out of his position range already too soon.
Oh, and then by the way, of course, you got the Angels, who, like I kind of implied before, are on their last grasp, because if they don't show any signs, Ohtani is just going to.
I think he's already gone, to be honest with you.
I don't disagree with that.
I mean, you're going to have 2 New York markets that are going to be calling for him: Boston, Philly, Chicago, Dodgers. There's plenty of teams. Like the Angels, Artie Moreno is the cheap of the cheap, and he's not the cheapest owner by any means.
And I know what you said about 450, 500 million. That no one's worth that, but you don't see Uncle Steve throwing that money out there just to have Shohei Ohtani and go to the Yankees and go Major League Baseball. Nah.
Well, I can see it right now, and if Shohei Ohtani will jump for joy if this happens, a bidding war between New York.
There'll be a bidding war between New York, LA, Chicago.
No. I'm talking about New York. A bidding war between both New York teams.
Oh, and well, Nick, this is going to sound really bad, but you know what? The Mets are winning that one. Unless this was another case like the Cole year where the Yankees didn't spend on anybody because like they didn't spend on anybody in before the 19 season, so that way they could get Cole before 20. If this is going to be another one of those cases where they didn't spend anything on 22 after the 22 season because after 23 they're going to try to land Shohei.
See, what's ridiculous though is technically in that battle, if when it comes to culture and in that regard, the Yankees should win that. They have guys like Matsui over the years who really held the organization down. The Yankees would really be the more Japanese influenced team than the Mets. But the Mets are going to spend more. Steve Cohen doesn't care. This is play money to him.
Yeah, Steve Cohen. Did you hear about the? I didn't even get a chance to look this up. Did you hear about this Millionaires Club or something that he's going to have at Citi Field?
Yeah, I did, and I'm not surprised. Like I said, when you have play money, you play. Right. Where is that when you need it? Of course I wasn't oh, here it is. That's all it is. Money! But
everywhere.
I just want to say though, with this World Baseball Classic, the Edwin Diaz injury is dumb. It's dumb. It falls under the category of Kevin Brown punching the wall or Sammy Sosa sneezing and taking his back out.
Well, this isn't an MLB one, but that Arizona Cardinals punter, I think it was a New York Giants Arizona Cardinals game, and the punter was celebrating like the first, not punter, the kicker, and they celebrated the first field goal of the game, and he pulled his leg.
Yeah, or I'll give you a football one since you want. Odell Beckham Jr. losing to the field goal net. So there's and the Altuve thing, that one I can kind of sympathize because you don't know when you're going to get hit by a pitch. Yeah, I mean, really. That's a real freak injury, getting hit in the thumb and having it break like that. So, but the Diaz one, I'm sorry, I don't have sympathy for. You're jumping around and you get hurt in a celebration. And it's not even a clincher. It's not a clinching game.
I was going to say, okay. Not saying maybe the acceleration was a little too excessive, but I understand, I'd say, the little happiness. But again, I wonder, like I said, just the fact that he was jumping for joy where he got hurt. Again, I wonder if that knee was going beforehand and if the Mets had any feeling about that knee.
You know what scares me also? That's more passion in a World Baseball Classic game that we're seeing these guys celebrating during the season. Isn't that weird?
Because the World Baseball Classic, Nick, I'll give you this answer. Because it's only 3 weeks long, it's pool play, and in a knockout stage where one loss and you're gone. Baseball's 162 games.
Well, I've always thought the season was too long. Always.
Well, that was going to be another one of my proposals about what to do with World Classic and alternatives. Like, do we need to shorten the season then?
To be honest, the season should probably be 120 games. To be honest, that's and actually, it really should be like 100. But you know that the owners are gonna cry poverty. So
of course,
so you meet them in the middle, do like 120, and at least it seems a little more reasonable, maybe. And I liked your idea of putting international series during the year.
So I need to explain because this was a pre-show meeting idea. So I told Nick, okay, what if we did this? If the owners are going to cry poverty and say we don't want the players, okay, we don't want our players playing World Baseball Classic, fine. We scrap the World Baseball Classic. However, every other year, 15 owners, so like 15 owners in this year and then 15 owners next year. I say this year, next year, obviously not that, but just for instance. There's going to be one, maybe two series where you lose at least part of the income for home games because you have to play in international. Like, I think it's going to be a requirement that each team has to play one international series in a season. So, like, let's say you can either do it on the same weekend or you can try to figure out, like, okay, Yankees, Red Sox, first weekend of June. No, you're not going to be at Yankee Stadium. You guys are going to be required to travel to Germany, and you're going to play on a pitch there.
Well, the one thing I would say is maybe like when there used to be interleague, remember there would be like a week or two. I think it was like in like end of May into June. Like make that the new interleague. Like call it international week or something, and have all the and pick like you said half the league and have them play series.
I mean, it's not a perfect idea. I'm just trying to get a base for something. Because I was coming up with like all these, okay, there's got to be some exceptions and like the travel schedule. I like one exception I had was okay, if you're one of the two teams who have to play the Little League World Baseball Classic in Williamsport in August, okay, you get an exception. You don't have to do international travel because that will count as that.
Right, because that's an exception that was already built in. It's for kids. It's just in general a marketing ploy already to begin with. But you need international games though. You have.
Like I get what you and Johnny hang around about the World Baseball Classic, but guess what? International stuff is not going to go away. To call baseball the American pastime and all Americana and stuff is such a passe take.
Yeah, of course it is. It's an old-fashioned term.
I mean, let's think about the country that just beat the United States in the foul, Japan. Japan has produced who I think is the best leadoff hitter, if not the second or third best leadoff hitter in baseball history, in Ichiro Suzuki. It has produced a Yankees former World Series MVP, one of the best DHs the Yankees have ever had, in Hideki Matsui. And it has now produced, quite possibly, to use the comparisons, this generation's Babe Ruth in Shohei Ohtani. Like, this, I don't know, but I'm saying, like, international flavor plus, you know, if you look at the rosters all across, I mean, compared to even 10 or 20 years ago, the amount of naturally born American people playing this game, Major League Baseball, is declining.
No, I agree with you. And one of the problems I do have, and Johnny pointed it out, and I'm going to point it out as well, some of these guys who are playing on some of the rosters were not even the nationality that they were. They chose to play on other rosters. Freddie Freeman's not Canadian. His mother was Canadian, and he was fulfilling a wish that his mother wanted. Who was the other guy? Edmonds from the Cardinals.
Well, this happened in, I think, the first one in 2006 with Nomar Garcia-Parra. I think he got to play for Mexico because his parents were...
Yes. That's ridiculous, okay? You play the nationality of who you are, and stop giving me this bullshit nonsense. Oh, well, I'm 2% whatever, so I can play on this team. No. That's not the rules. The whole point is it's a world classic.
But Nick, don't you see a little bit of that in the Olympics too?
I mean, the Olympics have harder rules against all that stuff, though. The World Baseball Classic, they have like no rules. They just, except for, and the other thing which makes me laugh is they have all these restrictions that they put, like some pitchers are not allowed to pitch. Well, it's kind of meaningless when you get to the end if you can't pitch. What's the point? You're just going to watch?
My point is, okay, but my point ultimately at the end of the day is you guys can rave and rant about the WBC all you want and how much you hate it. I still kind of like it. I still like the kind of international competition, the international flair that we only get once every few years. The different kind of matchups that we may not see because of certain Major League Baseball players, playing in the same league. I'd say it used to be that we would never see these kinds of matchups, but maybe that's going to start to go away because obviously 2023 is going to be the first year where all 30 teams are going to play one another at some point during the season. So
right,
maybe that's going away. Thanks, Rob. I mean, I can't really say thanks, Rob, because I mean, baseball is catching up to all the other sports in that department.
I mean, if you look at the NBA, everyone plays everybody. That's happened forever.
Right. The NHL, the only one is the NFL. But I mean, to use the arguments of, well, the NFL, football is not an Olympic sport or football doesn't do that. But I think you can't count football. The NFL is such an exception because it's such a unique kind of thing only playing once a week for 18 or 17, 18 weeks, and then a postseason, a knockout post. Like, that's such a unique thing compared to everybody else.
You also have to remember that the NFL is a national product, so they can get away with not playing everybody every week because everybody is seen at the same amount. In baseball, and this is going to go away probably in the next 2 to 3 years, especially what? What did you say?
Well, first of all, we still got restrictions.
Well, I'm going to say in the next 2 to 3 years, blackout restrictions are going to go away from baseball because they're having issues with localized regional sports network revenue. With thanks, Bally Sports, for going bankrupt. But I think you're going to see national only in the next 3 to 4 years. Even you're no longer going to see local.
Here is.
Oh, good, good.
Okay, well, here is my point: is that baseball is kind of catching up to everybody else to the point where, Nick, we even have said on this show that it seems like the NFL and football has beaten out baseball as the American pastime, and people are pissed off at baseball, whether it be because of the rules or because of the multiple work stoppages that we've had. With the COVID thing being delayed, the COVID season being delayed, and the threat that we had where we almost lost weeks of this regular season. That baseball is trying to basically play catch up on everything. So you see these guys who are taking. My point is that when you see these guys taking advantage of an opportunity like this for an international competition, and they're treating it more like, that it seems like they're treating it better than the rest of the regular season. And yes, it does sound wrong. I will admit it does sound wrong. But here's the thing: look at the game around it, and even Johnny had to admit it, that. Look at the game around it, because that World Baseball Classic, Nick, the kinds of ratings that I was getting, the fact that 97% of televisions in Japan were focused on Shohei Ohtani in that World Baseball Classic final. That's more impressive than anything Major League Baseball is going to do this season. And it's sad.
Well, can I be honest on one thing? And U.S. fans are going to throw stuff at me, but Japan cares about baseball more than we do.
I don't disagree. I actually don't disagree with that.
And U.S. does,
and that's not to the people who do care. I love baseball, and if you're a big baseball fan, you're saying that, good on you. I like people who like baseball. I like people who actually enjoy this game and aren't going to put rules in place to, well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Right. I mean, but. Go ahead, throw whatever you want at me. I mean, people have already been nasty in our comment section.
I just said we treat football as a better American pastime than we do baseball.
I think football. I think the NFL is more American than baseball, national pastime wise. But
even then, NFL is still trying to grow its game internationally with the London games and the game in Munich and the game in Mexico City.
Yeah, but the difference is people look forward to the international NFL games. The MLB is using international games because they're treading water trying to get people to watch. That's the difference here. They need these games, and they're using the World Baseball Classic as desperation, not to grow. That's what's happening here.
But my point, Nick, is I know the frustrations that you and Johnny and Hank are feeling about this, but when you are seeing those players, it's because they're actually having fun and they're not having to deal with the kind of BS like, let me just use an individual.
Well, that's Rob Manfred's fault. Now, actually, I'll go one step further. You can go all the way back and blame Bud Selig if you want, because this started with him back in 2006.
And you can blame the International Olympic Committee and the Major League Baseball Players Association trying to get all of that thing, because, even though the Olympics are a, amateur competition, NBA pros, yeah. NHL pros, okay, not today with the NHL pros, but before, yeah.
Well, there's a difference, though. The one thing I will say, though, is MLB and the MLBPA could not agree with the IOC on allowing the players. Now, people might remember, David Robertson competed in the last USA Baseball, because he was not on a Major League Baseball roster.
Yes, Nick, I understand. But you know what? Do it for all or do it for none.
I agree with you that
Do it for all,
baseball
do it
needs
for
to be in
none.
the Olympics. If it's not in the Olympics, then that's on the Olympics. And that's why the World Baseball Classic was created, because they're trying to mimic the Olympics.
Right. And I'm saying, then it's hypocritical for the IOC to allow the NBA players to partake in the Olympics. Now, granted, the NBA is also more global of a game than baseball seems to be right now, when you've got all the guys who are from all over the world competing in the National Basketball Association.
See, I don't agree with that. I think that each league has to have its own independent agreement with their Players Association and the IOC. The NBA and the MBPA and the IOC had an agreement to allow their players to go. The NHL eventually will have its own agreement to allow players to go.
But Nick, amateur.
No, I'm aware. I hear you. But I'm saying if MLB wants its players to go, then they have to get the MLBPA, which, by the way, MLB and MLBPA have had arguments for how long now? Over the last 2 years? Many, including COVID. Okay? They can't agree on anything. So if they can't agree on the simplest of things, what makes you think they're going to agree with the IOC to go back to the Olympics?
I don't think baseball's ever going back to the Olympics.
I agree with you.
It's going to be impossible unless, alternate solution number 3, you had the international series, you had the pool, the pool with the money for the unless, like the NHL used to do, where every 3 or 4 years you stop the season, you shorten it, and instead of the All-Star festivities, like the Home Run Derby and stuff, you have the World Baseball Classic.
Right. And I don't know. Baseball's got to figure something out. They need to figure something out, and they need to get players to be passionate about baseball. And I'm talking about Major League Baseball, not the garbage World Baseball Classic. Sorry, I know I keep saying that, but it's not important games. They're meaningless games. I know you keep telling me they're not, but they don't count towards anything.
Neither do spring training games. Well, okay, let me throw in another solution that I just mentioned before. How about we set an earlier deadline that you have to be on this day we have to finalize the World Baseball Classic rosters. Because I understand spring training is about ramping up. So what if, say, I'm just going to pick a random, let's say by New Year's Eve, we have to have the rosters.
Right.
Instead of, if you're participating in the WBC, instead of reporting on February 14th, like pitchers and catchers do, you got to be there earlier. Like, you're required to be there 2 or 3 weeks earlier.
I agree with you, because you need more time to ramp up if you're going to play in these games sooner, and also to avoid the injuries, which some of these heavy investments, which people don't want to realize. Sports is about what? It's about economics. And I'm getting tired, and people are going to get mad at me when I say this. I could give 2 shits about pride when it comes to Major League Baseball season is about to start. We're Yankees fans. Do we want to see Aaron Judge get hurt before the season comes to a start? No.
But at the same time, you need to do something internationally.
Like I said, put them in season. I want to see. I'd be happy to see international games during the season.
Or like I said, or every 4 years, shorten the season. Have the World Baseball Classic replace All-Star Game.
You just got to be careful. I guess, but you could say the same thing about the All-Star Game. People could get hurt during the game too, so it's kind of the same thing.
All right, we're not done here, because MLB has made changes to its rules already.
Great. Ugh.
So remember what I'm talking about with the BS that the players don't have to deal with the World Baseball Classic? Ding, ding, ding.
Where is it when I need it? Here it is. Well, Major League Baseball in a nutshell, everybody. Changing rules. Well, I was telling Tom before we started that this is the half-pregnant situation where we made rules, now we're going back on them because Rob was like, "Oh no, I can't change all the rules, or I made too many changes. Oh no!"
Oh no, I'm losing my 65 to death audience, and I'm still not getting with the hip and happening kids. Oh no!
And you know what? You know what Rob's saying? You know what he's saying?
RELAX.
Hey, you can't yell at me now for playing that sound. You
No,
can't.
but that's what Rob's saying. He's like, you know what? If I just change back the rules and I put them back halfway, then I can say, you know what? Relax. The rules are going to be good again. Yes, that's Rob Manfred and schizophrenia.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm just so tired of Rob Manfred. Rob Manfred, sometimes I wonder if there's a brain in his head. I do. Like,
I can't picture Rob Manfred and not play this sound.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I mean, it's true. I mean, it scares me because what job does the commissioner of all the sports have?
They are to oversee the game. They are to oversee the expansion of the game.
No. What type of job do they usually have before they become the commissioner?
Lawyer?
Yes, they're supposed to be smart people. Lawyers, well, let me be careful with that statement, but most lawyers are smart people.
All I have to say, and maybe I should do it. Piece of metal. Piece of metal.
Well, his brain is a piece of metal. But
I think when we do our MLB preview, I'm not going to call it the World Series trophy or the Commissioner trophy. I'm going to call it the piece of metal.
you probably should. And you know what? Rob Manfred would probably be happy because that's what he thinks of the World Series. And that's why his players, when they go to the World Baseball Classic once every 4 years, they think, oh my God, if I raise a fake Olympic medal, because that's what they're giving out. And by the way, one other thing, because I forgot to say it before, who was on the field giving the participatory silver medals to USA Baseball?
Wait a minute. I think this banner is going to be used a lot today. Was it?
Yes, it was good old Rob Manfred. That was the video that I posted on our YouTube short that got another 2,500 views on our page. Okay, and you know what?
More hateful comments to you, Nick Morgasen.
Yeah, but let me point out something. Why are they hating? Because they know it's true. Why do you hate? Tell me why people hate. Because they don't want to admit when something's true.
Well, I mean, second place technically is first loser, and Japan has beaten us in everything these days. They beat us in baseball, in competitive eating, in automobiles.
Hey, wait a minute. Joey Chestnut would like a word.
Okay, they used to beat us in competitive eating. Thanks, Kobayashi.
Getting arrested at an event. Anyway.
Yeah. Now, Nick, they're even better at beating us than ourselves. Take that for what you will. Take that whatever context you want.
That's my point. All right. Let's get to the rule changes. So, basically, and you know what? I'm not going to sum this all up. But basically, what I'll say is they're trying to be more lenient with the clock. We haven't even tried it in the regular season yet. We're already trying to change the clock. Is that unbelievable?
Of course. Because, I want to do a half takesy backsy.
And you know what's even better? And you brought this up and I saw it too. They want to change the rules for the Bat Boys and the Bat Girls.
Yeah, that if they're not, living up to their expectations of speed and they can cause delays to the game, then they can be asked to be, that the teams can be asked to replace them.
No, you know what? You know what they're saying? You know what? Bat Boy, Bat Girl, you're taking too long.
You're fired.
I mean, it's so crazy. They're going to blend the Bat Boys and the Bat Girls. I was telling Tom before we started doing the show that it was a random person. It wasn't even someone who's like big verified. Someone wrote, are we going to hold the umpires accountable for this too?
Yeah, because of course, when we're talking about wanting to speed up the game, what's slowing us down? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's the 12, 14, 16-year-old Bat Boy or Bat Girl. Or even the younger ones, because minor league game, they have the younger ones, the 10-year-olds. Yeah, they're responsible for the delay of the game. Yeah, good job.
I mean, it has nothing to do with the players taking 5 minutes between step outs or whatever.
It has nothing to do with the umpires taking 2 to 3 minutes for replays that should, quick second.
Or Angel Hernandez not getting the call right the first time. Hey, we got rid of most of the old umpires anyway.
No, Angel Hernandez is going to be there, and he's gonna. What's it called? Oh my god. What is it? The Oculus that he's gonna have.
Yeah, Oculus. Yeah.
He's gonna be umpiring the game while wearing the Oculus on his head.
By the way, I've never seen. What was it? The Yankee Red Sox game where he got 3 calls wrong and they had to go to replay 3 times. And I'm like,
don't remind me at that game. That you're talking about the 2018 wild card game, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one that in a playoff game. I've never seen in a playoff game between the Yankees and Red Sox both teams fans uniting in hate against somebody. Well, they did.
Well, everyone hates the umpires. Come on.
And one particular umpire everyone hates.
Well, yeah, but basically, they're half pregnant. They're trying to push the rules back for time. We haven't even tried it in a regular season game yet. Really? Good old Rob Manfred.
You know what? Screw it.
Wow.
That's what music today. I should have had a photo montage ready of Rob Manfred to go.
Hey, for next show. But you know what? Rob Manfred is the elephant who's balancing on the little ball, and the peanut is trying to balance all the players who don't like Major League Baseball anymore because he called it a piece of tin.
I can't wait, Nick. I can't wait for December of 2026.
Oh, we're gonna have another lockout. Well, you know what? We'll have an NBA lockout and we'll have an MLB lockout. So
when does the NBA one expire?
It's supposed to be up. Actually, they keep delaying the date. They keep pushing it. I think it's this year, if I'm actually to be honest. So
okay, hold on a minute. We are not moving on from baseball just yet because after all this hate that you've been given about the World Baseball Classic, I've been trying to, defend. After all of the stuff we're talking about with Rob Manfred, you know what? This segment cannot end unless I do something, Nick. You know what it calls for?
What?
Morgasen, Slam Ball is coming back.
I want Slam Ball. I want it.
It's coming back this summer. If that can come back, surely the XLB is not far off.
You know what? Slam Ball looks kind of fun. I would actually want to play that, actually.
I don't blame you.
You know what? It's the one sport where you could just bash into people and they just don't call anything. It's I call it the flying hockey. Because it's like in hockey they get away with everything.
Yeah, so. but in basketball a lot more points are scored. Because it's shooting baskets and it's all sorts of madness.
Well, this is all dunks, so you're gonna see more points scored in this.
That's true. Nick, it's absolutely fun madness.
Yeah, you know what? I would take Slam Ball over baseball right now. I would.
Nick, I'm trying to transition here, transition master.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, you're right. March Madness. So, yes, bracket buster madness going on. Fairleigh Dickinson downs number 1 Purdue. Number 15 Princeton advances to Sweet 16 for the first time since the 1960s. Holy shit.
Now, I know that Fairleigh Dickinson's run came to an end in the second round, but you know what? You had number 9 versus number 16 in the second round, and Florida Atlantic is still in there. So
let's put it this way. There was a funny, or I should say funny, was an interesting statistic. No Duke, no North Carolina. I forgot what they said. It was a few other teams. They said it was like the first time in a long time that North Carolina and Duke didn't make it out of the first round. UNC didn't even make it. So this is a weird tournament. Weird March Madness in itself.
I love it. I love it. Nick, we champion upset city all the time, and March Madness is the definition of upset city.
You know what state is having the most fun right now? New Jersey.
New Jersey. I mean, Nick, Princeton, Fairleigh Dickinson. Last year with St. Peter's.
Well, what? St. Peter's made it to what? The Sweet 16?
Yeah. Or Elite 8.
Almost, or they made it to the Elite 8, almost made the Final Four. I mean, that would have been insane for that if they made Final Four. But March Madness is fun. I mean, bracket madness is fun. It's fun to see people get pissed off when their brackets are completely destroyed. I didn't even do one this year, to be honest.
I did one at like the last minute, and I think it got busted when well, let's face it, got busted when Fairleigh Dickinson won.
I mean, everyone's brackets probably got busted in the first weekend because it was upset city all over the place. March Madness is fun. See, that would be a fun idea. Taking the World Baseball Classic and making it March Madness style, ranking all the teams and facing them off against one another, and then just working your way all the way through the bracket until you get to the end.
Well, Nick, I'm just looking at my Final Four right now, and 3 of the 4 teams I had in the Final Four are actually still alive.
Impressive.
The only one who I had in the Final Four that lost is Arizona. So I have my Final Four was Arizona, Tennessee, Houston, and UConn. And I had Houston over Tennessee in the final. So my champion's still in it. Both my final picks are still in it. I see Tennessee going on a bit of a run. But everything else, I mean, I had Virginia in the Elite 8, Arizona in the Elite 8, Marquette in the Elite 8. Yeah, that didn't happen.
I mean, let's put it this way. Vegas probably made a lot of money this year on upsets.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it.
But March Madness is fun. If you watch Game On with Johnny Montalbano and Hank Addicted, Johnny's really into it. Big time. The Monty moments are big.
Oh, and that's and even in our state, we've had a little bit of success too. I mean, look at Hofstra, CAA champions, Colonial champions, ended up missing out because the loss in the semifinals for the conference tournament. Go to the NIT, and they beat number 1 Rutgers. I mean, all this time you had people moaning that Rutgers should have been in the NCAA tournament. I love March, baby.
Yeah, I thought that was an upset. I was kind of surprised when Rutgers was not in, but you can't trust the bracket committee.
No, and you can't trust Rutgers, I guess, either.
No, you can't. You know what? They're talking about making the bracket 96, which I'm going to be annoyed. Like, if you're going to do 96 teams, you might as well just put everybody in. Let's put in hundreds. Let's just start all the way in January and go all the way to March and just have every team make the bracket.
Well, Nick, that would be more madness. And speaking of more madness, right after Iona's season ended in the March Madness, we had an announcement that Rick Pitino, who, if you remember, from Louisville, who, after all the trouble that he got in, disappeared, went to Iona for a couple of years, and now he is getting over to the St. John's Red Storm to be their next head coach. And that comes with Mike Anderson, the current head coach, being fired for cause, but Mike Anderson saying BS and is now suing St. John's.
Now, this could just be them trying to get out of a contract, depending on what Mike Anderson had left. I don't know what his contract was.
But ESPN did have the termination letter.
See, I'm still very curious about that. That was probably St. John's who sent the letter, if I had to take a guess. I don't know. How old was Mike Anderson, by the way? Can you look that up? Because the reason I'm asking is because Rick Pitino is 70 years old, and they gave him a 6-year contract.
63.
Okay. So they went to an older coach and gave him a 6-year deal.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Let me see. Mike Anderson. May 2021, he got a 6-year extension that would have kept him through 2027.
Who did? Anderson?
St. John's gave Anderson a 6-year extension to keep him through 27. This was in 21. And here is the termination letter. According to ESPN, Anderson was fired according to the termination letter for, quote, failure to create and support an environment that strongly encourages student athletes who are in the men's basketball program to meet all university academic requirements. Failure to perform your duties and responsibilities in a manner that reflected positively on St. John's University in actions that brought serious discredit to the school, and, quote, failure to appropriately supervise and communicate with your assistant coaches. Nick, are you going to play it or should I?
It depends. Which one do you want? There's a few of them you can play.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop you fucking lying.
I'll tell you what this is. I'll tell you what this is. This has nothing to do with for cause termination. They wanted Rick Pitino.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, we see this in professional sports too. Excuse me, where the hot coach or you can say this about free agency too with athletes. It's the same thing. Rick Pitino, older coach by 7 years. You give him a 6-year deal. So I don't know if he's going to coach until he's 76. But everyone's like, well, he's a great recruiter and he'll be able to get players. But no one cares about the violations that he caused.
Of course. Well, Nick, it's the NCAA. Who doesn't cause a violation and been stripped of a championship at this point?
I mean, now that the rules are changed and anyone can have NIL deals, why don't we just, I don't know, why don't we just make illegal drug deals while we're at it? I mean, like, no, but I'm just saying, like, anyone can make money at this point. Who cares where it comes from?
Nick, I'm going to give you some advice here.
Stay off the weed. Duh.
I guarantee you in the next couple of years, you're going to see like tobacco deals as NIL deals.
Oh, shit. I hope not.
Well, would you really put it past them? Some of these deals, look at some of these companies.
I would hope not. I would hope.
But think about some of the companies that are the biggest sponsors when it comes to digital product. Okay? There's a certain one with a certain razor that gets a lot of play. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I know.
And for most people who are under a rock, the company I'm talking about is Manscaped.
But Manscaped and drugs, Nick, are two very different things.
No, I understand, but I'm just saying, like, if you want to get risque products, you're going to get things like Manscaped, or actually, what's the name of that product that does the self typing and can generate papers for you? The
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT, yeah. So they're talking about having that. They tried to get NIL deals. That's against college. What do they call that? College code or whatever.
Yeah, because if I'm an academic person, that's what I want our athletes being associated with.
You don't think they're trying to do that already? Hey, I don't feel like doing my homework. I'll just have ChatGPT do it.
Nick.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying I don't condone it by any means, but they're trying to get deals.
How about this, Nick? I try to read the letter again, but this time I try to do it in Jerry Jones' voice. Oh, you like that idea all of a sudden?
Yeah, I do actually.
Anderson was right. Failure to create and support an environment that strongly encourages student athletes who are in the men's basketball program to meet all university academic requirements.
Oh my god! The sad part is I would actually believe Jerry Jones doing that.
Failure to perform your duties and responsibilities in a manner that reflected positively on St. John's University in actions that brought serious discredit to the school, and failure to appropriately supervise and communicate with your assistant coaches. How about them Cowboys?
Oh god, that's gonna be the end of your reel a lot this year. Oh, but you know what?
Wait, a whole bit empty the bench, but it's every time Tom Albano says, "How about them Cowboys?" in Jerry Jones' voice.
Yeah, but I don't know. First of all, 6-year extension for Anderson. You fire him for cause. First of all, I don't know if that's going to stand. You could say you're firing someone for cause, but you got to be able to prove it.
Here's all I'm gonna say to St. John's. I just got one thing to say, and no, it's not the why you lying sound again. Pay up.
Actually, I'll go one better.
Look at all the failure.
So
I was gonna say, imagine they hire Rick Pitino and they don't win a conference championship.
Look at all the failure.
Yeah.
uh,
All right. One more. Actually, no, two more basketball stories. Going back to the NBA here. So this one's a little bit of a sadder one. So Lonzo Ball. Now, you know, Nick, I haven't been the biggest fan of the Ball brothers and their father, who is undefeated, never lost. However, in this case, you know, I kind of feel a little bit sad because this is Lonzo Ball that we're talking about. This is a player whose career may very well be over as a result of injuries. The fact that he is going an experimental cartilage transplant. Now, if he managed to come back from this, he would be the first player in the NBA history to ever successfully come back from such a thing.
yeah, we're talking about experimental surgery. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not a fan of the Ball brothers either. I think they were way more hype than anything, especially when you have your father who decided, even before they became stars, to be their own brand. Usually, you have to be a star. Then you can build a brand. A la the guy you're trying to destroy in Michael Jordan. He actually won the championships and made the Jordan brand, made a lot of money, and then he's allowed to say dumb things. You're trying to say dumb things and then make money.
Nick, he's undefeated, never lost.
Ugh.
Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't hear me? Let me say it again, Nick.
He's undefeated, never lost.
Oh God. Oh my God. That sounds like LeVar Ball getting high on acid.
On acid? On acid?
I don't know. Whatever drug. I don't know anything about drugs. I wouldn't know.
Nick, you know one thing about drugs.
Stay off the weed. Duh.
Emphasis on the duh.
Well, yeah. You know what? It's like you said. Can we just to LeVar Ball? You know, I'm not surprised though.
I mean, I hope for the best for Lonzo Ball. I actually hope for the best. You know, it kind of, yeah, I hope he comes back from this. I fear he won't. I hope if he doesn't, then at least there's, you know, something to look forward to in the future that he can do, like commentating, coaching, or something.
He's young too. I mean, like
Exactly.
I feel bad for his other brother. Not great. It's not as good as Lonzo, but just don't get arrested in China anymore, please.
Speaking of Michael Jordan, he actually might be admitting a defeat because now he's going to keep a minority stake in the team, but it looks like he's about to sell a good chunk of his ownership stake in the Charlotte Hornets.
I mean,
Yeah.
This is basically I'm bored. I need something new. The Charlotte. I don't know why he did it in the first place. Probably because it's the cheapest team he could afford. Because the first time being an owner.
And he's probably thinking, and he was probably thinking, "Oh, I can do this. I can rebuild this team."
Yeah, well, you ever heard the expression that the star player doesn't always make the greatest owner or the greatest coach?
I think I said that on the show very recently. I brought that back up.
So that's kind of what happened here. Like, just because you won 7 NBA titles and you were a dynasty, and well, even though Colin Cowherd likes to say that he's a mid player without Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman.
Wait, he said that?
Something to the something to that phrase. Yes. And Colin, I'm a big fan. That's why I got into the business. That he's the one that I like to listen to. But come on, man. Calling him a mid player?
Come on, man. Come on, man, indeed. Hey, Nick, I just got a funny idea.
Yeah.
So, Charlotte, right? This is
Yeah.
Charlotte, Carolina. You know, we have somebody on our sound effect board who is a legend of Charlotte, an absolute legend in general, who is from Charlotte. Now, I wouldn't say he's great money-wise, but his net worth is probably great. You know who I'm talking about, Nick? I'm just throwing this crazy idea out. It's never going to happen, but I'm just putting the thought in my head, especially because it's WrestleMania season.
Oh, no.
Flair owns the Charlotte Hornets.
No. Oh, God. I mean, that would be fun. It'd be fun if they did that, but...
Imagine his first game as owner of the Charlotte Hornets, and all the players came out like him, wearing like the robe and everything, the hair.
That should be the chant, like at the beginning of the games. Woo!
Woo! Yeah, the Carolina Hurricanes. I don't know if it's still there, but Carolina Hurricanes, whenever they used to have a goal, they would have Ric Flair on the little Tron saying, "That's a Carolina Hurricanes goal," and just start wooing.
I mean, it would be fun. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, I think Michael Jordan was just tired of this. I think he just is like, you know what? It's the Charlotte Hornets. It's not the Chicago Bulls.
All right, Nick, time for some football.
Oh, boy. Bring it on.
Nick, 24, 36, 2, hut.
RELAX.
Oh, great.
So, remember all that big deal we were making last week? The mumbo jumbo? Yeah, well, apparently the Jets and the Packers are not close to sending Aaron Rodgers. Apparently, the Packers want 2 first-round picks for him.
It's not happening. I'll tell you that right now. And by the way, for most people who don't want to understand how this works, the deadline is the draft. So if you don't make a deal by the draft, guess what? You're losing out on this year's pick or any pick going forward. And Tom, you said it best, and I agree with you too. Aaron Rodgers already played his cards. He already played his hand. He said, I'm playing, my intention is to play with the Jets. Okay? So there's no going back.
But, Nick, if it's also true that the Packers really are moving on, are going to make Jordan Love the QB1, then you know what's going to happen? Then they're going to lose him for nothing, because either they're going to release him, or he's going to pull the Le'Veon Bell, and he's not going to play this season in order to ensure he's a free agent. Which we might see anyway with Lamar Jackson.
First of all, they're not going to release him because it's dead cap money, because of guarantees. So he's not...
So, Nick, you're saying that there's a chance that means both Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson don't play in 2023.
Well, no. Aaron Rodgers will definitely play because there's too much guaranteed money on his contract for him not to play.
But what if the Packers are already dedicated to Jordan Love? You can't screw him over. I said that last week. You can't go takesy-backsy and then go, oh, sorry, Jordan.
Yeah, you can. We've seen teams do shitty things before. It wouldn't be the first time. It's like, hey, Aaron, you know how we basically said we were getting rid of you? Up, come back.
But then you know what I'm doing if I'm Jordan?
I'm protesting, probably.
I was gonna say, you can prepare for your future once he leaves, but not gonna be with me. Trade me.
Well, he kind of doesn't have that power, unfortunately. I mean, he could demand a trade all he wants, but he doesn't have that power.
Okay, let's get or demand his release. Let me walk. I'll go find another team. And you don't think Nick, with all the teams that we got out there, plus the XFL, plus the United, you don't think a team would scoop Jordan Love up?
Oh no, I'm not disagreeing with you on that front, but the Packers are kind of in the driver's seat in that situation. Trust me, I don't agree with it by any means, but I guess technically the one small sliver of, I guess you could say, what's the word I'm looking for? Leverage
is if Aaron says no, because Aaron has that power. He can say no.
Right, but they're going to get a deal done. But the Jets are going to stick their feet in the sand too. We're not giving you 2 first-round picks. We don't know if he's going to play past this year.
But like I said, and Nick, they're absolutely right. But there's also what I said last week, the term, the face of the franchise clause. That, that guy's been there 15 years. It's going to at least, I disagree with 2, but they got to at least give up 1 first-round pick.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. They have to give up 1, but if the Packers think they're going to get 2 first-round picks, you could play that Stephen A sound effect again because they're high on something. And I'm serious.
Oh, you want me to play? Okay, hang on.
Stay
Wasn't ready.
off the weed.
They're high if they think they're going to get 2 first-round picks. They're not going to. Aaron Rodgers is year to year at this point. Who says they're not going to go through the same song and dance again when the season is over? And I mean, if say, and it's not going to happen, but if they somehow won the Super Bowl and then he walked away, it'd be like, all right, you got a Super Bowl, but that's not going to happen. So if they make the playoffs and they get first, second round, at least they accomplish something. He probably will come back.
I think he'll do 2. I think he'll do 2 and hang it up, just like Brady did. Brady did 3. But
The way I would do it is you get the first round pick for the 1 year, and then you could say, hey, if he plays a second year, conditional first rounder or second rounder, depending what happens in year 2.
On if he comes back, maybe on success with the team. I think that's actually pretty fair.
I mean, technically, if you're going to have Aaron Rodgers for 2 years, a first rounder is not really going to matter because you have Aaron Rodgers for 2 years. I don't know, but the Packers got to unstick their feet from the sand because they are going to be stuck with a headache again if they don't get rid of him.
I agree. All right. Little NFL news and notes. I mean, the big one of which, Nick, is Carolina Panthers giving Adam Thielen a 3-year deal. Nick, I have to admit, I'm a little impressed. Adam Thielen, Miles Sanders. The Panthers, there were a bunch of names we mentioned last week. The Panthers are really trying to build something here for who we assume, Nick, and I'm assuming this based on reports, especially after the trade for number 1 pick came out, and on a new video that was recently released where Panthers management was, meeting with CJ Stroud, that it looks like CJ Stroud is going to be their pick, and it looks like they're getting ready for him.
I'm surprised that the amount of money the ownership has spent so far. Now, obviously, with Jerry Richardson gone, and gone in 2 ways, unfortunately, I think it finally gives the team the opportunity to turn around after struggling for quite a few years, especially in quarterback choices between Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield.
And Nick, I'm telling you, I think Fitterer is probably feeling the pressure of the last couple of years to try and turn things around, and this is what it is.
I mean, again, I thought Adam Thielen would end up in a possible green uniform, but that didn't happen. I thought maybe that would be a great connection with Aaron Rodgers, but I don't know. I'm surprised Adam Thielen got a 3-year deal, to be honest, because he's kind of up there in age.
Well, I was going to say, Nick, I was thinking about it because I remember we talked about with Stephon Diggs that they replaced him with Justin Jefferson. Maybe something was going on the lines of Thielen. It hit me just today because I was saying maybe they're going to look to replace Thielen in the offseason. No, they already have his replacement. The Vikings are going to go to KJ Osborne as the number 2 now.
Yeah, and I told you what's going to keep happening with the Vikings. They'll go 4 or 5 years with a receiver, and then they'll trade him away for the next young one. Like, who says that Justin Jefferson in 4 to 5 years doesn't depreciate and end up somewhere else for the next young guy? So they obviously don't want to pay their guys. That's part of it.
Some other news, Nick, that's come out over the last couple of days. The Jets are actually in the news. They signed Mecole Hardman to a 1-year deal.
I like it.
And basically he's going to replace Elijah Moore because they traded Elijah Moore and a 3rd to the Browns for a 2nd. So I think now they got like 47, 48 or something. They have back-to-back
42 and 43, I think.
You're right. So they have back-to-back second-round picks early in the second round.
Now, people think they did that on purpose to give them pick leverage, maybe with the Aaron Rodgers deal. So maybe they trade away. Maybe they trade the 42nd and the 43rd as opposed to the 13th, which I doubt the Packers would do. But now they have pick leverage. But like I said, your deadline is draft night. If you don't make the deal, that's on you. Now, the Jets would be screwed otherwise, though, if they don't get a quarterback.
Sure. Austin Hooper gets a 1-year deal with the Raiders. Let's see. I'm just gonna go through here. Austin Bryant to the 49ers. Deonta Hightower has retired. Dante Fowler Jr. gets re-signed to the Cowboys. Isaiah McKenzie goes to the Colts. The Cowboys. So Tony Pollard elevated to the running back 1 after they part ways with Ezekiel Elliott. Ronald Jones will now be the RB2, it seems, in Dallas, signing a 1-year deal. Let's see.
A lot of the big moves have already happened.
Dalton Schultz bet on himself, and it didn't pay off, and now he's with the Texans on a 1-year, $9 million deal.
Apparently, he was offered a 3-year, $36 million deal, and he turned it away, which I was a little surprised.
He bet on himself, and he lost.
That was not a good bet.
Devin Singletary, who was with, I think, the Bills, is now going to be a Texans running back. 1 year, $3.7 million. I think for Buffalo's sake, big opportunity now for Dalvin Cook's brother, James Cook, to really stand out in the running back field there. It would probably be the running back 1 over there.
You probably have to be that desperate to go from Buffalo to Texas.
Actually, Buffalo did replace him. They got Damian Harris, the now former Patriots running back. That's actually not a bad. It's
not a bad backup. Yeah.
Zach Pascal from, I think, the Colts goes to the Cardinals, 2-year deal. Joshua Dobbs, the quarterback, is signed with the Browns. So there's your backup now for Deshaun.
Well, you don't have. Oh my God, why am I forgetting from last year? Now with the Commanders. Who was the quarterback that was the backup for Deshaun last year?
Oh, crud.
Oh, can't remember.
Percent.
Brissett signed a 2-year deal, I think, with the Commanders.
Oh, and by the way, Lamar Jackson got released officially.
Not that Lamar Jackson.
Exactly. Not that Lamar Jackson. The defensive back who was waived by the Broncos.
I wonder how many people... Wait a minute. I wonder how many people got confused when Ian Rappaport... And he dropped the tweet in such a way without saying defensive back. He just wrote Lamar Jackson. And like all of Twitter just went, oh my
God! Brandon Cooks, by the way, getting traded to how about them Cowboys for a 5th-round pick and a 6th-round pick.
Yippee.
Yippee, indeed. Mike Gesicki from the Dolphins goes to the Patriots. Cooper Rush resigns with the Cowboys. The Eagles sign Marcus Mariota to back up Jalen Hurts.
Wow.
And I think, that pretty much is just about it.
That was like all the cleanup moves.
Yeah, as we say, it's round 2, which isn't as fun as round 1, but still is there. Some stuff there. And Nick, there's one other news item on the hot stove for NFL.
Yeah.
Nick, I'm gonna sum it up like this.
Oh no. Oh yeah, that's right.
He is. So now this is not official. It's going to become official upon the NFL owners meeting next week, but it seems like Roger Goodell will agree to an extension with the NFL owners. The reports are, Nick, it would be a 3-year deal, I think, and it's assumed that this would be it. Because I was doing some research, and the one he got in 2017, remember the infamous one where he joked and said, and because he asked for a private jet. Apparently that was supposed to be the last one, but he's getting one more. So now it seems like this one is going to be done.
If you look at the statistical data, by the way, I think he's 64 years old. Most commissioners in most sports are done by like 64, 65.
So, Nick, now in 2026, we might have an MLB lockout. We might have an NBA lockout, and we might get a new NFL commissioner too.
Yippee! Can't wait. That's gonna be the next sound effect. Bark Scott. Can't wait. But I'm not surprised. He's gonna make 40 to 45 million a year, and maybe they'll just give him unlimited frequent flyer miles on a private jet. Maybe I don't know. But this is not a surprise. If people think this is a surprise, I don't know what you haven't been paying attention to the NFL for the last couple of years. Believe it or not, he's probably the best commissioner out of all the professional leagues right now.
Maybe number 2. It's sad to say, but Bettman's probably number 1. We haven't had a controversy as of late with him.
Yeah, that's a good point. You might be right.
But Goodell's probably number 2. Just and only number 2 because I know the Watson thing is still controversial, but number 2 by default because Adam Silver, well, we're souring on him, and Rob Manfred, well, where is it? Hang on, I have a specific sound effect here for Rob Manfred.
Yeah, that's about right.
All right. One other story here, Nick. The bane of my existence rears its head again. I'll let you take a guess, Nick, if it's Jake Paul or cryptocurrency.
Both.
And Jake Paul is being charged by the Security Exchange Commission.
Yeah, well, I explained this to Tom once before. I'll try to explain it to the audience because I know a little bit about cryptocurrency. Trust me, I'm going to put a disclaimer now. This is not financial advice. I'm just explaining a point. Let me make that very clear. Empty the Bench and Empty the Bench Podcast Network does not provide cryptocurrency advice. There, I said it.
Wow. And we will not provide any cryptocurrency related things until we get Benchcoin officially made.
Well, if that ever gets made. Anyway, so Jake Paul, YouTuber turned prize fighter, which sounds funny every time people write that in an article.
Did you say it sounds funny?
Yes. Yep. Was among 8 celebrities charged by the SEC for touting a crypto asset without disclosing that he was being paid to do so. Now, that's true. For most people who say, oh, well, they can do whatever they want. No. According to the SEC rules and bylaws, if you get a cryptocurrency sponsor, you have to declare if they're paying you for it. Now, I'm sure you remember the story of Kim Kardashian when she got caught and she got fined I think it was close to $1 million, if I'm not mistaken, because she really let it go and people were falling for it and everything. So let's see. The filing cited Paul's tweet on February 12th, 2021, in which he promoted, and I can't pronounce this, Tronix tokens. The tokens are securities publicly offered by Tron Foundation Limited, which filing said is owned by, I don't know who that is, so I'm not even going to say who they are. The tweet was a reply to one from rapper Lil Yachty, who also was charged and included a TRX hashtag and a rocket ship emoji. Yeah, this is all basically if you're touting a cryptocurrency, you better tell everybody publicly you're being paid to do so.
So Nick, I'm just gonna I don't feel like talking about Jake Paul. I'll just do one thing here. Better luck next time, Jake.
It's true. Now, cryptocurrency is a very interesting game. Just there's a lot of rules for it. They don't have a lot of regulation for it. That's why you see these guys trying to get away with shit when it comes to cryptocurrency.
It's the Wild Wild West.
I mean, they're starting to finally put regulations into it, but they're not there by any means. It's not like the banking system, which, by the way, is shitting all over itself right now. But people are buying cryptocurrency because they're panicking about banks. I know that's a funny statement to say, but
I'm dying.
What?
I'm dying of laughter. I'm dying.
The unfortunate thing about this whole thing is you have to remember, Jake Paul's YouTube channel has 20 million followers. Okay?
And a lot of it is of youth. Let me also add that.
But my point is, 20 million followers is a lot. you could turn audiences like that. Like, so if you're touting something, people are going to believe it because that's their favorite influencer. So,
Yep.
I don't know. Crypto's an interesting game. It's like you said, Crypto.com Arena. Or what's the other one in Miami that they finally lost? Oh, FTX. FTX, which went out of business because the owner was a quack.
Nick, it's still Staples Center to me, damn it.
It'll always be Staples Center. It'll never be Crypto.com Arena.
Ugh.
Oh my God!
I haven't heard that one in a while.
All right. I'm going to use that one to close out this show. So let me just close out here, Nick, by saying, well, we'll have a couple of things. But first of all, let me just say, remind you to make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified of every show here on the Empty the Bench Network. You got us, you got Game On, you have Fruity Cereal, which has needed a couple of weeks off. Yeah, but it seems like they will be back very soon. Hopefully this Monday. MMA Outsiders, we had to take a week off, but we got some content coming in store for the next week for MMA Outsiders. So stay tuned on that one. Obviously, again, subscribe to youtube.com/ETB Network. You can follow us across social media. So it's scrolling before on the bottom at ETB Sports across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the network itself on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at ETB Network. You can also find us on our social medias. You just saw them scrolling the ticker before. And don't forget to go to etbpodcast.com to get more information on the Empty Bench Network, as well as checking out the blogs from our hosts. A couple of things you want to go over, Nick. Actually, let me do the first one. We're looking potentially at Monday to show an MLB preview.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the plan.
More information on our social media page, but basically, we're going to try to record over the weekend. Me and Nick here from Empty the Bench, as well as our Game On buddies, Johnny and Hank, sitting down and discussing, what we think, previews and predictions for the 2023 MLB season. Nick, it's next week. We're 7 days away, man.
Oh my God, baseball season's back. Yes, we're probably two of 5 fans that actually want baseball back.
Nick, I mean, I'm such a fan that I'm going to a baseball game this year.
You're going to opening day for the Yankees.
Weekend, not the day.
Oh, weekend. That's right. But yeah, hopefully that's one note. And then this note. So the Hearst Show with Kyle Hersher returns to the network on April 13th. I already saw a preview of what episode 1 is going to be. If you're a fan of 1990s pop culture television, you'll be in for a doozy. So make sure you tune into that at the Hearst Show across all social media platforms to find that. That'll be every other week starting April 13th. What else? Also, living. I almost said the wrong name. Sweet Treats and Eats.
Yeah, it's officially Sweet Treats and Eats now. If you haven't been able to tell from the last show or two, the Living Life name is
gone.
Gone. It is now Howie's show completely. Sweet Treats and Eats.
Well, let's put it this way: Home Design Concept is going to have its own thing too. So they're separate shows. But yes, make sure you tune into that episode as well.
Tonight at 8.
Tonight at 8. If you like traveling the globe for foreign food, you will enjoy this one. We went everywhere around the world. Get the frequent flyer miles, as I said earlier.
Now, Nick, now that song is stuck in my head. Around the world.
Yes.
Actually, no. Now you got 2 songs stuck in my head. The one na 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 na, and now the Daft Punk song is stuck in my head.
Oh God. We're all over the place now.
All right, it's time to end this show before we go around the world.
Ay, ay, ay.
All right,
end the show.
Okay, for Nick Morgasen, I'm Tom Albano. We'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.
Good night, everybody. See you next week.